All right, welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Streamer in a Deemer. And today we have a Twitch streamer, a good buddy of mine, also does some stuff on YouTube, Captain Buckshot. Thank you so much, Captain Buckshot, for coming on the show with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell us a bit about your about what you do on your stream, and I'll throw up your links on the screen as you do so.
Sure. So I focus on Twitch. You can find me at Captain Buckshot. It's CAPTN Buckshot. Do live streams probably at least 3 times a week. Mostly Star Citizen. I do consider myself a variety streamer, but Star Citizen is definitely my main game. I also try to put some content on YouTube as well, whether it's shorts or best of montages, etc. Again, a lot of Star Citizen content. You can find me on YouTube at Captain Buckshot, CAPTAIN Buckshot.
Okay, so let's get into it. When did you start playing Star Citizen?
So I started back in I think it was January 2020. I had been keeping an eye on Star Citizen. I was a big fan of like Freelancer, which a lot of people know was one of Chris Roberts' earlier projects, and even Starlancer, the prequel to that. And it always intrigued me. January 2020, I finally decided to bite the bullet and buy into it. So I got the game pack with the Mustang Alpha. Was pretty immediately disappointed with that ship because I couldn't do much with it because it was made of paper mache and couldn't store much in it, and etc. So it wasn't long before I upgraded to the Titan, of course, which most people I think do anyway.
Right. So what was it about Star Citizen that brought you over? Like, what was it that you seen that intrigued you enough to pick up a copy of the game?
So what was the I wouldn't say final sell of it, so to speak, but the biggest aspect of it was the tools not rules aspect. So I played a lot of Sea of Thieves back when that came out in like 2018 onwards. And Sea of Thieves is very much the same type of concept, right? Tools not rules. You're put into this world. You have these sailing ships that you don't become when you interact with it. You are on the ship, and you can man the different stations, work together, run damage control, and then it's up to you what kind of adventure you have, right? And Star Citizen is that, but sci-fi and on a much bigger scale. And I've always been into like the sci-fi games, like going back to the topic of kind of dating ourselves, so to speak, of how old we are with our PC games. I mean, one of the first PC games I really got into was X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Space sim, flight combat and whatnot. So it combined that with the aspects of Sea of Thieves that I love so much. So it was a no-brainer.
Gotcha. Yeah, I found Sea of Thieves after this, and I thoroughly enjoyed Sea of Thieves. I didn't have a lot of encounters with players, but just the like me and 1 or 2 other buddies just trying to keep the ship afloat and going on these what I would call like bespoke missions, like it's a standalone quest.
Yep.
Made it so much fun. Like, it wasn't like go into Quantum or jump here or fast travel. Like, getting there was part of the journey.
Yep.
I really enjoyed that, and that's something I would like to see come into Star Citizen, is that going to a place is a feat in itself. You don't just hop there. Like, there's maintenance. Your ship might break down. Maybe weather, powers, like whatever. Like make the journey. A big part of it.
Oh yeah, and that's, again, I've had those journeys in Star Citizen, and between both games, like that was almost some of the fun, was the shenanigans that would happen on the way to your destination. In Star Citizen, that's even longer fold and leaves it open to more things going wrong in the right ways or the wrong ways, or different encounters and whatnot.
Yeah. All right. So the Mustang was your first ship. What is your daily driver now?
I would say my daily, I try to, all right, so let me back up. I try to rotate through my hangar, and kind of, because I do enjoy just about every aspect of gameplay, which, the different ships have different roles that suit each gameplay loop. But I always end up going back to my Cutlass Black. I'm I have because I like so much different gameplay. I have a really strong appreciation for ships that can kind of be, I call them Swiss Army knives, that can do many different things fairly well. Maybe they're a jack of all trades, master of none, right? And I think the Cutlass Black is kind of the poster child for that in Star Citizen. I don't think it's a particularly beautiful or handsome ship. It's a cool looking ship. It's almost so ugly it's cool type of thing. It's kind of like a muscle car, so to speak. It's got the big tires in the back type of thing. I don't know. I like it. I like it a lot. It suits a lot of my gameplay styles for the most part. It's a really good value, whether you buy in game or pledge it. But I would also, yeah, and I almost always recommend it to people if they want to get the most out of the game. It's a good ship that you can fly solo effectively, or even better, if you have someone in the turret, it's a darn good ship. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, the Avenger Titan, especially for people, I call it a starter plus. I wouldn't call it a starter ship necessarily because of the price, but it's that's another good one that you can do a little bit of everything in.
No, I'd absolutely agree with that. The Cuddy Black is still one of the most bang for your buck ships that I think is on the pledge store. Really, like if you are new to the game, you're okay with spending, what is it, $100, $120. It's a real good way to go. It's going to open up a lot of game loops for you instantly. But I mean, there's still something to be said about crawling up from, a Mustang or an Aurora. That's fun too. But if you want to be able to jump in the game, haul vehicles, haul cargo, and that ship will last you. I mean, I when I got in game, I flew the Cuddy Black for a solid year at least. I stayed in that ship because you just do everything in it.
Well, it's like I was thinking about. Pyro, everyone always, and even you've asked me, like, what's the first ship you're going to fly into Pyro? Yeah, because I haven't done it yet. And I keep thinking about it, and it's like, you know what? It's probably going to be my Cuddy. Yes, I have a Star Lancer. I have a Zeus. But it's just, I don't know. I also just have so many memories to it. Like I get emotionally attached to cars too. So I'm almost emotionally attached to the ship now.
I don't know if I can remember what the first thing I jumped through the gate was. I think it was the. I want to say it was the SRV, the Argo SRV. I think that's what I jumped through first.
That's befitting. But again, it's got and that's what's cool about the ships in this game and the different manufacturers and whatnot. It's like similar to cars. You form emotional attachments to them. They're your faithful steed. You go through all these adventures with them. Oh,
absolutely. Now, is that going to be your favorite ship also, is the Cuddy Black then?
Yeah, honestly, I would say overall, I have a lot of ships that I like for different roles. I do like the Scorpius, because I always wanted to be an X-Wing pilot. I want to be an X-Wing pilot when I grow up. But yeah, overall, I would say I always end up going back to the Cuddy Black. I think it's got one of the biggest personalities, which that carries a lot of weight for me.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I am waiting for the Cuddy Purple, though.
Cuddy Purple.
Jax McCleary proposed that, I think, in one of his videos, and we still haven't seen it yet. So CIG, please make it happen.
Disco ball and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your preferred career path or game loop in the game?
So overall, I'd say by day I'm a PvE bounty hunter, and then by night I'd like to do cargo hauling. One of my favorite game loops is working with a small crew, maybe between a couple different ships. So like the Cuddy will be a good example. I'll usually be in the Cuddy with someone in the turret, and then we'll have like a friend in a Vulture. Or there was that one night we did. Actually, you were there. We did took the Star Lancer out to see how good it worked for carrier ops. And we had a couple Furies in the back, and the turrets were manned, and we were picking up the cargo, and we had a friend with a Vulture. So that's the kind of loop I love, is when it's combining everything together for different player styles and different ship roles. Because that's really where Star Citizen shines.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun that night, man. Yeah, you're right. I agree with that. If you can do, we were basically mixing. Well, I guess it was not necessarily PvP, but it was PvP versus E, right? It was we were all, players, but we were doing NPC missions. But it was a lot of fun having the, as part of the fighter squadron when we weren't exploding on the ramp, and having the vulture come out. We had, the repair guns, even though we didn't need the repair tools, just because, the max is tanky.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize how deep the shields were alone. We were ready to do some repairs because we were inspired by Wicked Wookie here has a video showing how you can save some money on your Polaris repairs. So I was inspired by that and brought those tools along, but we ended up not needing them.
A little DIY. So recently, Star Citizen has developed what I'm going to coin as the spare tire approach to patches, where we currently have, unless you count the hot patch, which I'm not, but we have 2 live servers. We have the 3.24 and we have 4.0 running live at the same time. What do you think about that?
So overall, I thought that was a huge win. It shows that CIG is learning from past mistakes. I totally get and do respect the move fast and break stuff mentality and even a need for that to certain degrees with a project like this. Honestly, that's one of the big reasons why the game's made it as far as it has, right? You have to brute force it sometimes, but they're at a point now where they have to balance player experience, right. And the quality of the experience, because they got so many new people coming through the front door now, because there's a lot to like about this game. Right. So when they decided to do this, I love that, by the way. I'm gonna steal that. The spare tire approach. I was very impressed with that because it allows them to get the data they need, which I totally get. They have to get the volume on to the 4.0 server meshes to really put it through its paces, and they can only get so much of that on ePTU. So bringing it to live and saying that progression will carry over when it fully launches means it's not wasted time, which is a big thing for me. That's just one of the reasons why I don't do too much PTU stuff myself. I'm going to be doing this 4.0 preview, right. So yeah, I think this is a great approach. I think, I was on it yesterday. There's some issues for sure. Don't quote me on this, I guess. Well, you're going to quote me because I'm in the video. But to me, it felt like more database call issues, like purchasing at ASOPs or purchasing at terminals and whatnot were very delayed. Mission markers were delayed, but the servers themselves felt really good. I don't think I saw server FPS go below 20. Things overall, the servers themselves felt really good, and I think CIG should be really proud of that.
So, what is your favorite thing about Star Citizen? If you had to pick one.
It kind of goes back to that tools not rules aspect, and again, coming from Sea of Thieves before Star Citizen, I've always loved that about Sea of Thieves of there's quests and whatnot you could do, or you could just stick to PvP, but in one session you can experience so many different aspects of gameplay and styles, and no 2 sessions are the same, right? You're in charge of your adventure, and it's it's just the fact that no 2 sessions can be the same. Even if you go out and try to do the same game loop, something will happen differently. You'll have a different encounter, whether it's with a player or PvE, and that gets back to the seamlessness too, right? So you're not going to get that in a lot of other games.
Right. No, I would agree with that, and that's being here doing the interview this way is one thing I like, because you get the day-night cycles. We get, NPCs might spawn or something. You never know. It is an adventure when you go out. You don't 100% know that everything's gonna be the same as it last was.
Yeah, is that an A2 bomb falling above us there? No.
Oh God! Cut this out. So that being said, that's your favorite thing. I can't agree with that. What is your biggest headache from Star Citizen? What's the one thing that really bothers you about it?
So I would say it's actually two things. So, and one of which, with this 4.0 preview, I'm cautiously going to say it seems like they're learning from it and they're addressing it. Especially with that letter from the chairman, I believe it was called from Chris.
Yeah.
They're going to be focusing on quality of life and experience over this next year, which I think is way past due. And just the way they launched this preview, I think was testament to that concept and that idea and that mentality. But yeah, like it was the rollouts, especially like these rollouts that always happen around Free Fly and then the holidays and stuff, which were peak times for players and new players. It always was frustrating to me because you want to tell people to play the game. Clearly we've had a ton of fun with it, but it's like you don't always want to have to tell people, oh, well, just be patient. It'll get better in a week type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's changing. And I think this update was a really good example of that. But I would say the onboarding aspect of it, and I know gameplay is not fully fleshed out and will be changing quite a bit over the next few years. But the new player experience, and Sea of Thieves struggled with this too. I know I keep going back to Sea of Thieves, but they're so parallel in so many ways.
Right.
I don't think it was until Sea of Thieves launched in 2018. I don't think it was until at least 2020 or even after that they added what they call the Maiden Voyage, which is a separate instanced single player experience that all new pirates go through to teach the basics of Sea of Thieves. Digging up treasure, how to use the quest maps, how to find stuff, how to use the shovel, how to use the ship, how to use the sails. All things that back in my day, we had to just jump in and figure it out. And we learned from failure, which, failure can be a good teacher, but that doesn't work for everybody, and that can be very frustrating, especially if you don't have anybody to show you how to do things. And in my case, when I started in 2020, I actually didn't last very long back then because I had nobody to show me how to navigate, how to do all the workarounds. Which unfortunately is still part of the meta, but that's becoming less and less, of course, as the game gets better.
So that being said, if you could change one thing about Star Citizen or a process that CIG does, what would you change?
Well, like I said, I think they've already started to address one of the biggest, like the core aspect of, I think, where a lot of the problems that I see, which is quality of life and experience. Because they have so many people playing the game, they need to make sure it's a good experience at this point, right? Because that's the cash flow to keep the game going and keep people being advocates for the game.
Right.
So that's being addressed. I would go back to just the new player experience. Again, I know they can't invest. This kind of contradicts what I was saying before, but you can't invest a lot of resources into that, especially if things are just going to be in a state of flux or new things are going to be bolted on. But just something to help the new player experience, even as simple as like I said, that new player tutorial. I'm pretty sure there's no way to trigger that again after that first session. Make that pop up, so players can re-access it if they want.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so we're gonna get to your race. Now, how did the Redeemer feel to you? I know you haven't. That was your first time in Redeemer, I believe, right?
Yeah. So that was my first time behind the wheel of the Deemer. I obviously have quite a bit of experience flying my Cuddy. Not that I'm a good pilot, but so I did some practice laps in the Cuddy before this, and felt pretty good about it. But yeah, I mean, as I'm not used to having that big tail sticking up in the back there.
All right, well, we're going to bring up the race now and let everybody see how you did.
Oh, boy. Go. Oh, boy. Now, I practiced this in a Cuddy, and this is my first time in the pilot's seat of a Redeemer. I mean, size-wise, they're pretty close, I think. She's a little more collected than the Cuddy. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Oh, that's right. We don't need that, right? Uh-oh. What direction? Am I going the right direction? I am not going the right direction. 180. Oh boy. I'm losing valuable time here, man. Shoot. I lost all my downforce now. Lost my whale tail. Yeah. Shed some weight. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Major torque imbalance. Come on. Oh, she's got good sounding engines for sure. Come on. Come on. That's the direction I want to go. There we go. Oh my gosh. If you could see how much I'm leaning in my seat right now, as if it helps. No, 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 no. Yeah, we'll blame it on the desync. It wasn't the desync. Oh, that was the finish line. Oh, sweet.
All right, so you did that in 2 minutes and 54 seconds, which, to be fair, being turned around on a 180 and having to turn all the way back around, that's still not bad. And you didn't explode after the finish line. So that's a feat in itself. How do you feel about the run?
So yeah. I it's like I was saying, I wasn't expecting anticipating how far up that whale tail sticks. That really screwed me over. But honestly, though, it was a lot of fun. I guess I'm glad I didn't blow up. But yeah, could have been better. But again, I didn't blow up.
All right, well, that puts you in our second spot on the board, Captain Buckshot. Man, it's been a pleasure having you out here. Like I say, just finishing the lap and doing a 254 at having a 180 and spin back around, I still think that's impressive in a ship that you've never flown before. Everybody, if you haven't checked out Captain Buckshot's a link yet, that's going to be in the description. He does Twitch and YouTube. Make sure you go check those out. And we hope to have him on here again sometime.
Yeah, thanks, Wookie. Really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun.